darkness and cold. It's all that my world is now. It seems weightless as well. I don't know what's going on. But then a pain kind of strikes from within me, and I vomit forth some of the precious air that's within my body. And lo and behold, here I am floating, not actually dead. See the bubbles, they travel upwards. That's where I need to be, and then that is where I will go. And I begin to swim, realizing, hey, I've actually just been knocked over. Things aren't so bad. And then cresting through the water to take in that sweet breath of air, I had not realized how empty my lungs were. And here I find myself adrift with nothing in sight but water and darkness and the stars. This is not where I will die. Not yet, anyway. So recently, the Arcology podcast, and I mentioned this in a different video based upon the context, did a mention for their next Patreon actual play patron podcast thing. It's going to be Cyber Pirates. So I had some pretty crazy ideas. I was like, oh my god, that's so awesome. I kind of want to do that now. But instead, I'm going to settle for just making up a contact and a character based upon what my character would have been if I was playing. Because I had this idea that sprung to my mind when they were talking about their characters, and it was interesting to listen to them do some session zero kind of things. But sadly, nobody jumped on the idea that I had, which, as it was recorded 6 months ago, I can't exactly fault them for not thinking the way I do. So that's what we're doing today. This is going to have a little bit more direction to it, but one of the things that I know I'm going to do is I'm going to be a magician, because there are some really cool and interesting things that you can do with it. I'm going to come over here to my positive qualities, and I gotta forget, because it's been a while since I've done this. And I'm going to start here, because the other things I have not yet decided upon. I know that I want to be a mage, because that's going to fit with some of the other crazy idea that I have in my head. It was talked about things like having the sea mentor spirit, which is an underused mentor spirit, and having things like a high focus in summoning water elementals, which is sadly something that doesn't get a lot of interest assigned to it. So that's where I'm going to start today. I'm going to scroll through some stuff here. I do know a certain couple of things that I will be taking. Obviously, the mentor spirit elemental focus I'm going to throw on as an idea. Coming down here. Given as that they were also doing a pirates thing, there are a couple of other qualities that you can do, things like with a water sprite, or the I'm trying to remember the other one. Natural athlete doesn't do swimming, unfortunately. Otherwise, that would be a no-brainer. Things like out for yourself. Outdoorsman, I would totally count for being on a boat. That is a appropriate thing. Coming down to some of this other stuff. It would really depend upon where you're heading, but it's not exactly something that I have in mind here, so I think I'm just going to stick with the 3 qualities that I had to start, and I might end up dumping one of them off pretty quickly, depending upon how things go with the rest of the there it is, water sprite, and well, will to live is also a appropriate thing, given as the little intro that I did, which I hope you guys find those interesting when I do these videos. Let me know if not, because then I'll stop doing them and stop trying to come up with interesting stories. Coming into negative qualities, we're going to scroll through this real quick. Astral Beacon, because the place where our poor sailor was floating is going to be the Bermuda Triangle. They mentioned it's like a background count for stuff that is going to play into the other things I have in mind, which involve being a changeling. So, hooray for that. Sadly for this, I'm going to have to... I think I'm just going to do it like a changeling too. And the negatives I will randomize later. Um, oh, I really like that idea too. Dead emotion on there. We could play up a bit of the iron board of what is dead may never die, so he does not fear death because he is already drowned. I don't like the idea of taking distinctive style when making a changeling because it feels like it is a karma grab. It's like, oh yeah, no, I totally am distinctive for being a mutant, but at the same time, you're a mutant, so kind of goes hand in hand. I got 10 left I can take. Poor self control. I feel like we can easily throw something in this here, but probably in the compulsive area. If I don't want to get into that real quick. Let's go down here. Uh, Spirit Bane and Spirit Pariah. Throw those on as a possibility, even though we're way over our qualities. Also, kind of like the idea of him being uneducated and just falling into the pirate lifestyle, but the skill limitation on that is kind of rough for a lot of characters. Let me go back in here, and I will pull off Astral Beacon. Spirit Pariah do as I double check that. Nah, that's dumb. Because that's just for summoning and binding. So I'll get rid of that and try and find 13 other. Amnesia is actually pretty interesting because it is a something you're gonna want to talk to your GM about. Just because how do you want to work the knowledge skills of character creation and that kind of thing. Um, I also like bad luck. So I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll drop the amnesia because that makes this a little bit more widely acceptable. We're going to come into elemental focus for water. Our mentor spirit, since we talked about it as being the whole theme here, is going to be the sea. And coming back over to qualities. We're 25 over. Spirit champion makes things cheaper for reagents. Get rid of that. Yeah. Yeah, I'll get rid of Spirit Whisper and Outdoors, but I'll go with just the focus on the water stuff. Dead in motion is going to be Fear, for what is dead may never die. And Spirit Bane. I'll let this go for a minute until I figure out a tradition, which should be our next step here. Tradition for a pirate. I'm thinking Chaos, just due to the fact that the sea is a harsh and crazy mistress. There's a couple of other options here. Shamanic can just be nice and simple. Voodoo, given as the game they were talking about was in the Caribbean League, could also be appropriate. The Norse, if I didn't say them, Vikings were kind of fancy pirates. And potentially maybe even a druid, as if you want to take a more for the sea aspect of things as opposed to towards the plants. But I'm gonna go with chaos because that seems to me to fit the magic and unyielding nature of both the Bermuda Triangle and the ocean and swimming in general. Um, so for homegrown astral acclamation, Bermuda Triangle, Spear Bane. What was your spirits again? Because I totally forget. And I keep forgetting that I leave this nested thing up. Air, earth, fire, man, water. Alright, so we're just going to throw earth on there because he does not like the earth. Awesome. Earth is very Kyogre Groundon situation. coming back over to our basics, I really like a attributes, magic, skills, human resources build. Um, that's going to be the build I go with today, as it helps you get a lot of the resources you need from your different priorities. Magician at B will get you Magic 6 once you dump your special attribute points from your meta type into it. In addition, it will also get you 3 points of edge, which is really, really nice, and lets you almost bottom out your meta type choice. The high attributes will help with things like your drain and not being completely crippled in physical space. So we're going to boost his willpower. He's chaos, it's willpower plus intuition. So we'll boost his intuition as well, because that's the way things go. Even out the rest of his stats. Nice average 3s. And here's where we kind of get to do a lot of different things. Being a pirate and a seaman, I feel like the body and agility and strength should go up. The other point can easily go into reaction, or that's intuition should be a 6 because you want to max your thing out there. Makes him a little bit more physically capable than other mages, because he needs not to use magic for everything. Sometimes you need to just do things like batten down the hatches or swab the deck or that kind of thing, and you don't always have to use magic for that kind of stuff. Coming over here into his skills, we are going to pick up a couple of ranks in the clubs, and we're going to go with pistols because it is boat-to-boat type situations. Granted, he's not going to have a lot of points in them, but it's some points so that he's not completely inept. For our 2 group points, we're going to grab the athletics group because that is a great group. We're going to grab perception, sneaking, survival, coming down to magical skills, summoning, and spellcasting. I can't believe I didn't remember that actual thing. For technical skills, a couple of points in nautical mechanic, because you're going to want to be able to take care of the boat that you're on, and pilot watercraft because you can't actually default on that. And now we're just going to even our skills out a little bit. Nautical mechanic. Ship. Perception. Pilot watercraft. Ship. So sneaking doesn't really have a legit specialization that you can grab here. If you talk to your GM, he might let you specialize in boats. Get a bunch of points in summoning, since we are a water spirit focused mage. We're gonna grab that specialization. There's also not an official specialization for at sea for your survival, but that's probably something you could pretty easily convince your GM into doing. Points in clubs, pistols, with that wonderful, useful semi-automatic specialization. The lets you get just about everything, and that'll give you 9 dice, which is pretty good for a non-main gun combatant to be using. Looking back at this, I do want to fit in some binding dice, so I'm going to go ahead and add that skill, and then rebalance our skills appropriately. With a water spec, because you are a water mage. And let's see where we can toss 2 extra points from. Let's toss 1 from survival. Let's just toss the club skill. Deal with that later. The secondary thing we're going to need is some spells, because spells are really important for mages. coming down here, my usual. I'm gonna skip through some of the normal health stuff, uh, like the heal spells and improved reflexes, as my headset cuts out. Sorry for that. Um, However, Under Illusion Foreboding is a fun spell to drop onto a boat before you board it. Improved Invisibility is also a really good spell. Um, Coming down into Manipulation, we are going to grab. Where's my spell? Where are you? Physical Barrier, because with a little bit of interesting applications, you could use it to create a gangplank between your boat and the other boat that you are boarding. Apparently that screwed up and let me take Physical Barrier twice because of clicking. The last spell, you know what? I'll give that one a think and come back to it. Uh, for languages, we'll start with English. That can easily be changed depending upon where you want to set your actual campaign. And then we're going to come back over here and we're going to add in the wonderful surge qualities. We're going to make him a surge 2. This way we get to choose our positives and we can get things that are appropriate for, well, somebody who almost drowned to death. And right off the top of my head, where is the cephalopod skull? Oh, wait a minute. That's a negative because it is horrifying. So we'll throw that on there real quick, and then we'll come back in here to the positive ones. Going down here, things that could be interesting or appropriate. Climate adaptation. Climate adaptation would be appropriate given as... Oh, here it is. Blubber. That's the one I wanted. It's got a little bit of that natural adaptation to the water. Let's give him a paddle tail, because why not? Gills. Gills are great for living in the water. Coming down here. Make this guy really horrifying if we wanted some terrifying things. Underwater vision and webbed digits. This is 18 positive qualities. Do we give search 3? Alright, search 2. For negatives, if your GM is into it, you can pick up some appropriate negatives like the skull, which I really like the idea of. But from there, sadly, the negative metagenic qualities are less than appetizing for the options that they present themselves. You scent glands or slow healer or something along those lines. But the only one that's really appropriate here is going to be the cephalopod skull, which, let's see if this is a book counting error or, yeah, okay. I had to double check some math on the karma that is showing up here. So the only thing we really need to finish him out here is some knowledge skills. So we're going to go local area knowledge, because it's good for everybody to have that. Smuggling roots with a, let's get a piracy specialization. Let's get a, oh, did I take navigation as an active skill? Was I intelligent enough to do that? I was not. So let's throw navigation on there real quick. And give that a quick celestial specialization. Astronomy, as I can't spell, and I apologize, and I will fix that spelling later on. Give him an astronomy navigation to reinforce the an astronomy knowledge skill to reinforce the celestial navigation active skill that he has. Smuggling routes for that. Local area knowledge. Clearly, sunken treasure needs to be the specialization there. Let's do some fun stuff of music with a sea shanties specialization. And then I feel like more of a additional knowledge or languages would be appropriate here. I sadly don't know what would be appropriate for the Caribbean League. It could be a great number of things, like this Jamaican Creole or Japanese, Chinese, Spanish. So I will leave that open for other languages to be filled in later. Sadly, as we have a horrible mutant as our personage here. Actually, this elemental focus means that I should probably change this ice spear into a firewater spell. There we go. That's a little bit better. For his free contacts, we're going to give him Salty. He's a pirate. Straight up. But since you're also a pirate, you're friends. For the other one, let's go a little bit more useful. As a customs agent. And I don't know how much actual karma I have left to tweak out this character, so I'm not going to go super crazy on that. Because I think I'm... let me just figure it out. This astral hazing is not going to stay on here. It's just a placeholder. So I have 5 karma left over, so I can go be a little bit more friendly with Salty. The customs agent is going to be Agent Skulker. In the Caribbean League, he is going to be doing a lot of going in and out of different places and such. Sadly, we are only at a little over 6,000 million for the money that we can spend because we want the whole weirdo changeling thing. But that should be enough to get us at least started with our character here. Little more than a sin, and the basics of basics is going to be able to be afforded, unfortunately. But with a little luck, he will survive and not get blown up in this first run, and suddenly suddenly even worse for wear than one is when they are a changeling, because there can be a lot of difficulties to not exactly fitting in just from the way you look. Where are we at on karma? We got plenty still. Lifestyles, low lifestyle. I know I don't usually do these on these videos, but since he has so little resources, I feel like just knock this out real quick. So there's a couple of sins. There's a sin, a couple of licenses. It does put us over, so I'm going to go back over our active skills and see if I can't trim out, say, one of those points, which puts us back under. Excellent. So, here's where we find ourselves. We have a couple of decent skills. We are very focused in our water spirit friends because we are basically a crazy sea monster that has come to live in Seattle and is gonna continue his piracy here. But thank you guys very much for coming by. I look forward to hearing the. Oh, he needs a name. Hmm. His name is Dredge because he has been dredged up from down below. Knowledge. Oh, somebody in the Twitch chat gave me a good suggestion. Knowledge skill, politics, the specialization, pirate code. And for languages, we'll go down to Spanish. With a Aslan Spanish specialization. Get rid of that guy. Excellent. So that's where we kind of find ourselves, and I look forward to hearing the crazy adventures that he may get into. He will be up for Games for James 4 as a playable character. And thank you guys for coming by.